I definitely think having a team has been really great because when you're feeling down, you're not feeling it, whatever in life is taking over, when you have a team, we all ended up, we're still doing this. We're still investing. We might have an off week, off month, whatever it was. But working with a team definitely ensures that you keep going forward.
Welcome to the Investing RN podcast. The team's all here, and we've got some little background info coming at you today for those of you interested. We are going to be talking about how we got started, the three of us, in real estate way back in 2019.
The good old days.
But yeah, we're going to talk about how we got started, what inspired us, and where we're at today, and what we're seeing in the market, which should by no way be taken as any kind of advice or professional.
Just stuff we've done and stuff we've learned from, and hopefully you guys can too.
Yeah.
There we go.
We're investing right now because now is the best time. So we're going to tell you what we're doing right now.
That's right. So starting us off, we can do a kind of little recap what our portfolio looks like now. What do we got? Jenn is the kind of the brains of the operation. She runs the property management and a lot of the data. So,
which is scary because I'm learning all this right now.
It's okay.
As we're speaking about it.
But she knows equity now.
Okay, it's been a little while.
And net worth. Working on that one.
Yeah, working on that one. I don't value that. We should actually start there.
Yeah, let's
start
talk
with the goals that we started with.
Let's talk about our goals and how we've been shifting our goals and why we've been shifting them and why net worth might not be the best measure, as evidenced by my father, Paul Davis.
So when we first started investing, our goal was to make money from it. Obviously, like you wouldn't do it if you didn't think it was going to be a lot of work, or if you thought it was going to be a lot of work for no money. So the goal was to make money. I know my goal was like, oh, this is great. Maybe a good retirement option, like buy a bunch of houses or, a house every 1 or 2 years. And then 20 years down the road, when I'm thinking about retirement, it's paid off. It's bringing in some cash. So that was my first thought. I assume that was something similar to you, Colin, or do you think you're going to be making a lot of money right away?
Yeah, no, I think based on what your parents, yours and Jen's parents were doing, that was kind of the inspiration for me, was just seeing what they were doing. They were buying these small single family homes in Wisconsin, and they were renting them out. And I think they had them on 15-year loans, and the plan was to pay them off and then be cash flowing. And I was kind of seeing them getting I was seeing their projections were like roughly $500 cash flow per house in 15 years. So I was like, oh, cool. Like if we could get 8 or 10 of those, that would be a great little way to supplement our retirement. And so that was the original plan for me as well. And I think also for Jenn, because in the early days, she was basically just following my lead.
Yeah, I had no input in the beginning. I had no idea what was going on. I was just like, extra money? Yes. Whatever that looks like, let's go.
Honestly, like it's probably a good thing Jenn wasn't paying attention much in the beginning, because I think if she had been paying attention, she probably would have realized how slow this was going to be and how much work it was going to take, and she probably would have pulled the plug on it early. But since she didn't get involved until it was like too late and we were already too deep into it, it's worked out great.
Yeah, that is actually a really good point. I probably would have been very frustrated initially had I known what a long-term, I guess, success this would be. I would have been way less interested in getting involved. So yeah, that's good. I kind of stepped into this like last year.
Yeah. Well, so talk about your goals then from the start. We both went into what we thought this was going to be. Jennifer, what did you think about it when we first started?
To be honest, initially when we closed on our first house in 2020, I had no goals for this. I was just like, cool, we finally own a house. Like we've been renting for years. Even though we weren't going to live in it, I was just like, at least it feels good to own something. I had no long-term goals. Like I said, I just hoped that we would be able to supplement our nursing salary, and maybe I wouldn't have to work 3 days a week. I could do something less or just work per diem eventually. But I mean, just from me and Colin talking, I was thinking like, oh, if we own a few extra houses, yeah, a thousand, maybe a couple thousand a month, and I don't really need to work that much, or maybe I could finally quit nursing for good. So that's all I was thinking about. I was not thinking.
And just a quick disclaimer, throughout these episodes, you're going to hear Jenn mention quitting nursing and all these things, but she does have an appreciation for nursing, even though it wasn't a good fit for her. She realizes
It's great for a lot of people.
Yes.
Not for Jennifer.
Yes, it's a really good profession.
Yeah.
And another disclaimer, Jennifer has been Jennifer her whole life, and it's really hard for me to hop on board with her being Jenn now. So Colin calls her Jenn, I call her Jennifer.
Everyone, please call me Jenn. Josh is the only one that can call me Jennifer.
Yeah. And our daughter, after we've been hanging out with Josh for too long.
Yeah.
Oh, does she really?
Yeah, she's like, who's Jennifer? And I'm like, nobody that you know.
We don't know. So those were our original goals. Our goals kind of changed as we started buying some properties. I think Jennifer's goals improved.
Mine quickly changed. Yeah.
The quickest. And then, I mean, mine did as well. And it was, yeah, maybe a little bit unrealistic, but what did your goals look like 2 years into the investing career?
I would say once we got through our first successful BRRRR, a single family house, we were all pretty motivated that you could actually make some money on this, and still didn't quite understand that it was real estate is, at least how we've been investing, is more of a long-term play. So I think initially I had a really big goal and still not understanding finance at all. We just started throwing out some big numbers and we're like, I mean, I said 500,000 a month, which
Dollars.
A month.
dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, 500.
It's like, I know people that do that, but also don't want to work 24 hours a day like they do probably.
To be fair, we're reading books and we're doing all this stuff on mindset, and everything is about think bigger. Like, we are what hold ourselves back. So I was just thinking like, okay, whatever my initial goal is, it needs to be like an extra zero. So I initially thought of 50,000. I'm like, we should be pulling in like 50,000 a month. And I was like, no, I'm thinking too small. So let me just throw a zero on there. And then I said that out loud and then immediately Colin is like just laughing at me and like, what is wrong with you? Who needs that much money? And I was just like, I'm trying to soak up this mindset thing. I'm trying to elevate here. Like, I don't have a reason for this, and I don't have any understanding of what the business is actually doing. Is this cash flow, or is this like, who knows what this number is?
I was just picturing the amount of like just random stuff she could try with that much money, and her face would just be like, because like all the lip fillers and everything she would be trying. I was like, oh man, this is going to be a curse. We got to stay away from this. But yeah, she would have gone wild with $500,000 a month. And maybe that's not as crazy. I mean, you know,
it wasn't that crazy because then you guys came up with a net worth goal that means nothing.
That was still.
And so that didn't come around until I grew. I grew. What am I trying to say? I joined a group. I joined a group called GoBundance. So if you guys want to go see what GoBundance is all about, they have a website. Just type in GoBundance. But it's a group of guys.
It's a tribe of millionaires.
It's a fraternity.
It's a tribe of millionaires. Yeah. That is a really catchy phrase, but essentially that is what it is. Like, you have to meet certain net worth and certain income requirements to join. But their whole thing is like the net worth is kind of what people are measured by, because a lot of these guys, not myself, I was entry level when I joined, still am. But a lot of these guys are making so much money, like their monthly cash flow just doesn't even matter. So that they start to measure themselves by net worth. And so that's kind of when I was introduced to net worth, I was like, oh, that's a really cool concept. Like, I want to be worth $7 billion in the next 3 years. And that's kind of when net worth was introduced to us. And it changed my mindset probably a little bit too soon. Obviously, I'm not making enough money to where money doesn't matter. And I think at that point, net worth matters. But until you're making so much money to where it doesn't matter to you, your cash flow, I don't think net worth really matters. So I introduced that into our business, and we kind of took that and ran with it. And we had the goal of, you know, our business being worth $10 million in the next, 3 years. And we kind of ran with that for 6 months at least until we realized that
We're all like,
our business
what
net worth.
does that really mean? How much
Well,
money are we actually making? If
Yeah, and I
that's
think-
what we're worth.
I think backing up a bit, like, so we were all heavily influenced by Bigger Pockets, and whoever, if you're familiar with Bigger Pockets, one of the hosts previously was this guy Brandon Turner, and he was always talking about this stack method, and it was like, you buy a duplex and then a fourplex, and each year you're growing. So by the 5th year, you have so many properties, and if each, or so many doors, and if each door is cash flowing, let's say $100 per month, then that's how much you're making each month. And like for me, that was like a very simple concept. It was just like, I need to buy one door, and I need one door to equal $100 a month of cash flow, and then just keep doing that. And it was like a very easy way for me to like calculate monthly cash flow and all that. And then we got wrapped up in this net worth thing, and I mean, I fell into it as well. It was like, oh yeah, the net worth. And Josh and I actually went to so we kind of reshaped, or I think originally our goal was doors. We were like, okay, we want to have this many doors by this time based on this cash flow per door metric.
But did we even have a cash?
If you break it down even more, like the only reason we wanted that amount of doors was because of the amount of cash flow we associated with.
Right.
So a lot of people always start with like your goal and then break it down, then break it down. If you can't break it down 7 times, like you have to break it down 7 times before you figure out what your actual goal is. So our actual goal was just cash.
Yeah.
And so we associated amount of doors with the amount of cash we'd be getting. So it always boils down to cash flow.
Yeah, and I think it was difficult for me at the time because it was like I was trying to figure out, it was like, okay, like $100 per door, let's say, because it's like some assets don't cash flow that well. And then I was like $500,000 a month. It's like that's like 5 million doors. And that was just our half. So Josh needed like another 5 million doors. So for our company to be cash flowing,
We were like, this is not going to work.
so it was like, so that was tough. No, but then we got caught up on the net worth thing, and that was through a few different avenues. We kept hearing this like net worth. And I mean, I got caught up with it too. We went to this Go Abundance retreat last year, and I was not qualified in any way, so I had to hide in the hotel room while Josh went to the meetings. But I will say I was very comfortable. I had slippers, I had a robe, I laid on the couch, I listened to the meetings, and then I'd go to the bar and get dinner at night while the meetings were finishing up, get a nice seat. But after that trip, I came back and I was talking to my dad about it, who's very, my dad doesn't even have a debit card. He doesn't have a cell phone that he knows how to use. He has one for like emergencies, but then he has an emergency and he forgets how to make a call. So it's like not like, super savvy, but they live in a house that they own outright. And he goes, oh, well, I guess I'm a millionaire. And it was kind of like, wait a second. This doesn't make sense. I was like, this metric is not it. And I think we were all having a hard time. And, nothing against my dad. And technically he is a millionaire. So by the net worth measurement, but, it was always hard for me to kind of like conceptualize, I guess, if that's the right word, like how a certain net worth equaled cash flow, because for all of us, that was what we really needed, was like cash flow. That was what was going to change our lives now. And so I think that was always tough for me to wrap my mind around.
Yeah, and kind of going back to that, like a lot of these guys in the group that I joined, they're heavy into real estate investing, which is not a very liquid way to invest. Liquid money, not anything.
Money you can spend.
Money you can use tomorrow. A lot of times your money's tied up, and these guys are net worth $5 or $10 million, but the amount of like disposable income that they have is like less than a lot of nurses make.
And in the beginning, we thought that was really cool. We were like, oh, shoot, like we could be millionaires. And then it's like, wait a minute, if I'm a millionaire and I have no money, like what is the point?
It's just a catchy like trigger word, basically. Like it doesn't really change anything. I've low key become a millionaire like 3 separate times, and then when I realize, oh wait, I'm not calculating it right. Then I realize, okay, no, I have to have another goal. I got to hit there again. But it's actually really fun thinking that you're a millionaire. So
just breaking that ceiling over and over again.
So it's a running joke. Josh has been a millionaire like 5 times now.
I celebrate hard every single
time, for sure.
And the joke is actually that Josh is a multimillionaire because of how many times he's become a millionaire.
And lost the status.
Yeah, like the cash flow metric just kind of makes sense. And I think the thing is too is just kind of having an idea of what you're after, and really like that, like building your vision and setting your goals and knowing what you want, because it's like there are ways in real estate that you can generate cash flow quickly, but we were not investing that way. We were investing very much for doors and like the deals were, and I guess we can get more into that too. Maybe that's a good way to do it, is like, depending on what you're after, you kind of have to shape your strategy on that. And we did not do a good job shaping our strategy for cash flow, but at the same time, we've been getting good deals that are going to set us up for the longer term. And now that we've kind of like understand that, it's like, okay, now we can shift our strategy for the cash flow.
And I think I was probably the biggest reason why we didn't start investing right away, because I know Colin had mentioned starting a wholesaling branch of our business like a long time ago.
Did you really? Oh my gosh.
I've been trying to make
just
money.
Now coming out?
Well, I'm just now ready to disclose this to you because I feel like you would have hurt me if you had known this earlier.
That's correct.
Yeah, Colin had been trying to start a wholesaling branch of our business for a while, and I always hesitated because to me that was just creating another job. It wasn't so much an investment strategy. And me doing anesthesia, like I make enough money to where I didn't need a second job. I wanted something more long term, and so our goals have been aligned. The majority of our partnership, but not fully aligned the entire time, and that was a disconnect that I was definitely the reason we didn't start investing for cash flow.
I'm really glad I didn't know this sooner. You would have been cut a long time ago.
Notice I'm revealing this information while you are in California and I'm in Wisconsin. I have a solid 4 hours before you get here.
Well, but and again, like I think that goes back to like your why and what you're doing. So just kind of quick backstory, which you may or may not know already, is that Josh is still a nurse anesthesiologist, sorry, making
Thank you.
Really good money in Wisconsin. And Jen and I have both been out of nursing almost completely for just about 2 years now. So it was like generating that cash flow was very important to us, which is why I was looking at things like wholesaling and flipping a couple of years ago. But for somebody like Josh, it's like, well, hey, like he doesn't mind what he's doing. He's making good money from it. So yeah, it doesn't really make sense to take on a new job to generate cash flow that he's already making. That being said, there's definitely ways that we could have surpassed his income even as an anesthesiologist. But
nurse anesthesiologist.
Sorry, nurse anesthesiologist.
That's the first time you haven't hesitated when you say that. So thank you. You're getting better. Like I expect big things now that you've come to terms with that.
The more I say it, the less I vomit in my mouth when I say it. So,
and that's the goal. That's the goal. For all of you nurse anesthesiologists out there that hesitate to use that term, I expect a little bit more from everyone.
No, but I think as Josh was talking about our goals for the listeners who aren't on YouTube, I was kind of crisscrossing my arms because it's like that's what our goals have done. It's like we've always kind of been like along the same plane, but just kind of up and down in terms of like what exactly we're after. And I'd say it's, this is what, year 4 or 3 of doing this?
3 of active doing this, 4 of us partnering, I guess.
I'd say it's only recently that our goals have been fully aligned, which partly is to do with this podcast, because this podcast has kind of like become a part of our investment business, even though it's a separate thing. It's like kind of a part of our business now, and it's kind of helped us all settle into our roles, I feel like. And now it's like I think that our strengths and weaknesses are complementing each other a lot better now. Like Josh, for example, will shamelessly post on Instagram.
For those of you who are listening, at the Lifestyle CRNA, if you want there to be no rhyme or reason for my posts, but you want a little bit of entertainment, occasional education, go follow. If you want somebody that has a very particular way of posting and it's very much the same brand every single time, Jennifer, plug yourself real quick?
wildzephyr.co. Also because I was a photographer, I was a wedding photographer, and the aesthetic thing was built into me. So now switching gears to like business, I'm not even sure what Josh is doing. I'm just having a really hard time getting on board. So I'm kind of sticking with my brand thing for now.
And I think I said this on an earlier podcast or later podcast, depending on when this one comes out. I was so anti-social media for 3 years. I deleted all my socials and had nothing. And just thought it was all a waste of time, which partially is because there's me particular. I get sucked into like scrolling forever, and at that point it is a waste of time. But I'm also having a lot of fun, and there's a lot of more now than there was a few years ago. A lot more education, actually, things that benefit you rather than just timeless wasting. Timeless wasting? You know what I'm trying to say.
Mindless time wasting, maybe. And I think I'm somewhere in between with it. Like, so if you want somebody that will kind of like collaborate with you, no matter what you send me, you can go ahead and collab with @Colin from PDR, spelled like Frump Doctor, @Colin Colin from PDR. Yeah, I'll basically collab on anything. So just send it to me.
Same.
Anyways, how do we get over here? Socials.
We're talking about the podcast.
Yeah, but just like, you know, in picking a team, I think it's important that, because Josh and I, to be quite honest, do not complement each other well in a lot of the real estate dealings, like day to day. Yeah, and even business, I'd say like we have very similar strengths and a lot of the same weaknesses. But more recently, as we've been kind of finding our way into our roles, I think we've been figuring out how to complement each other better in business. And then neither one of us possess the skills that Jenn has in terms of organization and just actually documenting anything. So
yeah, me and Colin are both optimists. Like, oh yeah, you said something really cool. I'm gonna remember that. No, we never are gonna remember that.
Much less make it happen.
Jennifer actually writes things
well,
down.
and we're both visionaries as well. Like, we have a lot of ideas and plans.
Like the way you say
but
that.
Then like
visionaries.
The implementation is not always there.
Which Jennifer also has a very large vision from what we were describing earlier, but she has a better way of writing it down and actually doing things about it.
Yeah, I get really frustrated if things are just talked about all the time and we're not actually making steps. So
I have a little bit of that in me. A little
very
bit.
little.
I think you do have some of that in you, but you also have the other part of it where you don't actually do the stuff.
More of that.
So you're just mad at other people.
We said we were going to do that. Why have you not done that yet?
Yeah, I couldn't put my finger on it. That's it.
And I'm right there with you.
Anyways, so the point is, this year we've all kind of fallen into more natural roles and we're figuring out how to work together as a team. I definitely think having a team has been really great because when you're feeling down, you're not feeling it, whatever in life is taking over, when you have a team, we all ended up, you know, we're still doing this. We're still investing. We might have an off week, off month, whatever it was. But working with the team definitely ensures that you keep going forward. The other side of that coin is that we had 3 cooks in the kitchen for a while and we kind of stopped progress because nobody was really, I don't know, we just weren't sure who was doing what. So this last year has been a huge transition. We're all falling into place into, like Colin said, we're starting to figure out where people's strengths and weaknesses are and figuring out how to complement them instead of kind of going head to head.
Yeah.
And it's taken almost 4 full years. Like a lot of people are able to figure this out really quickly. For some reason, it took us a while.
Well, we got a business coach.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah, that helped.
Oh, I was just about to bring that up. So
I was going to say too, like, you know, people talk about like not doing business with your family and like, I don't know, to that I say you're absolutely right. It's not a great idea. It has worked for us, but like throughout the whole process there have been ups and downs. And I'm not going to like, not to pat my own back, but like separating these two and keeping these two happy. And it's like, you know, inevitably, like, you know, they're brother and sister. So it's like, there's going to be competition. There's going to be like frustrations that you wouldn't normally have with like a friend or a business partner, but
it's like phantom competition. It's not like real competition when you know you're going to win every single time. But like I pretend every once in a while.
And I let you believe that. So we're all good.
But yeah, there's been some tension.
It works.
And in fact, you know, kind of segue to the business coach, I'd say most recently, this was just the summer of 2023, we went out to Wisconsin in August, and leading up to that trip, there was definitely some tension building to the point where Jenn was almost fully gonna step away, and
We're getting into it.
I mean, we might as well. I mean,
All right.
I would like, excuse me, puberty's been really tough on me. I mean, I would like this to be like really open. I want people to know that we're going to be open books. Like if you guys ask us questions, send us questions, whatever, we will answer them 100% honestly because, just because we're honest type of people. But that's the point of this podcast. We want to be completely and fully transparent with everyone, with everything we've gone through, because we're not the only ones that have dealt with this. And if we had, talked to people that have already been through this, which we did, but like, I feel like a lot of, especially these gurus that are online, they're telling you all the highs, which we're definitely going to tell you about our highs, but we're going to be also very honest about our lows.
Well, I think like if you want to know the highs and like how amazing life is, go on Instagram. If you want to know like the truth, just come on the podcast.
That's true. I'm not posting a bunch of lows on Instagram.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I think that it is kind of indicative of just the way things are portrayed. Is like you see people on social media and it's like you see these couples that look super happy, these people that look super wealthy, and you don't see like or understand the full story behind it. And I think it's really important to know that because it's encouraging for other people to know like, hey, like this is very common. Everybody's going through this same stuff. And I think for us, and this is kind of a unique thing as being like the husband-wife entrepreneur couple. Like more recently, we've been meeting a lot of other people and they're going through the same stuff as us. And it's like, obviously, well, yeah, I mean, you don't want like other people to be struggling, but it's like, it's almost reassuring to know like, okay, it's not just us. We're not failing. It's just, this is just the way it is. It's hard.
Yeah, it's encouraging for sure.
Yeah.
You just kind of need to know other people are out there with you. We're doing it. Just not knowing that you're not alone in this struggle, because the beginning is the struggle, and that's been very hard to wrap my mind around because we went from travel nursing, which was for us the best we could do in nursing, so we were doing those high paying contracts, and then going from that to essentially completely starting over. And yes, we wanted to start over. It always sounds better than actually doing the thing. And now that we're doing the thing, I'm like, okay, like, when is this part over?
Yeah.
This is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't hear about all the hard times.
Yeah, there's nothing to post right now. It's hard work right now. I'm like, I don't know what content to do because none of it's pretty. Yeah.
But I will say, so
I'll take care of that.
Well, and so
collab.
Going back to what I was beginning to say was that we're going through this tough period. Just this August, what was that? Like 4 months ago? Less than that, 3 months ago. And thankfully, we had, like prior to the start of this, we had all decided, and partly because we were going through this, we decided to hire a business coach because we were kind of going through these ups and downs and knew that something needed to change. But in the time it was taking to get started with this business coach, things were unraveling a little bit. And even to the point where like we actually had the conversation with Josh about, Jenn's going to kind of step back, and even the podcast, like I felt like in the beginning, like I was kind of the one pushing for the podcast. I was like buying the equipment, sending it to Josh, like trying to get things set up. Josh was blowing me off. It only happened one time, but
did I do that?
Enough to hurt.
Yeah, you blew me off.
No, that doesn't sound like me.
Yeah, you went to like horses or something, or gymnastics when we were supposed to record.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
But that was the beginning, and then we went to, well, I was gonna say we went to Wisconsin and we were planning on recording, even to the point where I ordered an extra microphone and shipped it to Josh's house at the beginning of our visit there, but then didn't actually record anything the whole time we were there. And then it was like, Josh was like, well, hey, if you're not gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. So then it was just like, anyways, things were tense.
There was drama.
Yeah, we could get into it all later, but we hired a business coach. And
follow me on Instagram if you don't want to hear any more of this story.
If you just want to hear how amazing the lifestyle CRNA, and if you're an earlier follower, it's the same as the savvy CRNA. So just keep that in mind.
I changed the name. I wasn't ready for. I don't know if this is the place to go into this, but I wasn't ready for people, my close inner circle, for me. Because like I said, I was off socials for years because I was like antisocial, and like every time I posted, it was like extremely cringy, just felt really weird. So in me preparing to start posting more, I was like, I need to change my name. So it's basically not me posting. Now it's somebody else posting. And the first name that I changed it to was, as Colin likes to remind me all the time, thus it was Savvy CRNA, which I changed very promptly about a week later because I got so many jokes and I realized that was probably not a fitting name for myself.
Yeah. So fast forward to now, we've got a business coach. We've done
that we paid a lot of money for. Business coaches are not cheap.
We've actually gotten
it has been
we've
worth
gotten
it.
so much done since
Yeah.
we had the coach and how little we taught him.
That's a hesitation that I'll touch on this real quick. Like, a lot of people see the dollars that are leaving the bank account. What they don't see is the amount of dollars that are coming back in. It's not immediate, but like right now, like I feel like we haven't seen. Am I about to say how much we paid for?
I don't mind saying it. It's just in an effort to DM us, and we'll tell you how much it was.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it was multiple 5 figures.
Okay, you might as well just say now because now it's just getting annoying.
Okay, so we paid $25,000 for a business
1
coach,
year,
and like for a year. Yeah, we haven't seen any money come back to us yet, but the amount of stuff that we've learned and the connections we've made and the things that we've started to implement now, that's going to come back to us so quickly, and it's going to come back to us every single year moving forward. So I've always been a fan of coaching and mentorship and stuff. A lot of people hesitate to see that money leave because they don't see the immediate return, but the return is there. The ROI it's exponential. And that was just one of the coaches we've hired. We've hired several coaches to help us through these different times and to show us different things.
Yeah.
And that's just something I can't harp on enough because so many people are so hesitant to pay money for high ticket items, but as long as the value that you're receiving is at least that much, which it has been so far every single time.
And I mean, that being said, like, obviously don't put yourself in financial ruin just to hire a coach. There's a lot of steps you can take prior to that. But for us, we definitely felt like it was worth the investment because of where we were. And we're kind of we're almost at a crossroads where it was like, hey, do we either like keep doing this together or do we just kind of go our separate ways? And had we not hired the coach when we did, there was probably a better chance that we kind of went our separate ways to a certain extent. I mean, obviously, like, we all like each other still. We're all family, but
not because we had so much bad blood, but just because we knew that like problems now are like, as our business grows, our problems are just going to get bigger and more difficult to work through. And we knew that being family, we wanted to have Thanksgiving and Christmas together and not like have bad blood the rest of our lives. So the reason we considered leaving was because like things are tough. We don't want this to affect our family. It was going to be more of a mature mutual separation.
Right.
And then we decided not, screw that.
Yeah. No, we were thinking of
if we don't have Thanksgiving together in the future, that's okay.
We were thinking to call it before it got too dramatic because, we're brother and sister. We fight all the time. Like, that's just what happens. But it was starting to get to a place where like, this might get a little ugly. So let's not do this. So that's when we were like, all right, business coach or not. So for us, it was
I mean, because we all know families that have been separated for various reasons, but money. I mean, I personally know some family that is just not. Yeah, they're essentially they're family, but they're essentially not a family because of money issues.
Yeah,
we didn't want to get to that point.
We're never going to allow it to get to that point. So happy that we're here because maybe it would have been. I don't know. Maybe there was nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say everything happens for a reason, but I do think that things happen for a reason, and I think
I do. I don't believe in coincidence.
Yeah, I think that we've gone through a lot of different things that we kind of needed to go through in order to grow together, and to know that we're doing what we want to be doing, and that we're all on the same page here. And I think we all had to arrive at that realization in our own way, and I feel like we're there now. I mean, even just, Jennifer being on the podcast with us now is like something that kind of happened a little more organically. Like, originally Josh and I were going to be doing this primarily primarily just the two of us. And at one point, I think Josh was going to do it just by himself, even without me. So it's like now.
That was during our summer of 23 when things were a little bit rocky. And apparently Colin thought I was blowing him off. I felt the same way about Colin, and I was like, forget this. We've talked about doing a podcast for like 8 months. I'm just going to do it. If Colin wants to do it, sure, but I'm doing it regardless.
Well, and I think that was like, I'd say if there was one problem that we had throughout, it's been communication. And I definitely think that just like any other part of your life, like communication is so key. You can't make assumptions, and because like he just said, like we each thought the same thing about the other person, and without actually talking about it, you're just like spiraling, and it's like it just gets worse and worse, and then sometimes it's too late.
I want to say assumptions. Every single assumption that I've made has always been way worse than reality. So if we had just talked about it a little bit, we would have had no problems ever.
Which is why now we have like multiple meetings a week.
Yeah.
Which has solved so much.
Where were we going with this?
I know I
don't know, but
we got into it.
Yeah, down a rabbit hole.
This was not what the notes.
No, we are way off topic.
I think we were just supposed to talk about our real estate portfolio.
Let's get or wrap it up.
So we've got right now. Oh, I think like 30 minutes ago, I introduced Jenn to tell us what our real estate portfolio looks like today.
We never did.
We didn't get to that yet.
So tell us about our today's real estate portfolio.
All right. We've got a couple mobile home parks in the 20 pad number range, 20 to 30 pads. We've got a small single family on a lake, and we've got a single family.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just translate all of that.
What? What did I do?
That was wrong.
Really?
That's so funny that you manage and you deal with these properties the most.
I totally got
and
it
you still
right.
don't know where they are.
We don't have a single family on a lake. We have a multifamily on a lake.
That's what I meant.
It's a fourplex.
That's what I heard in my head. I heard that.
We have 2 parks, one that's a 19 pad, one that's a 20 pad. The 20 pad is on a lake. The 19 pad is lake adjacent, and we're under contract for a 24 pad. And we also have a single family home, the original one we bought. And then we have a duplex that we are currently seller financing to the people that were living in it when we bought it.
And we've a couple properties have come to us and then left us. Is that the terminology that's usually used?
That is how that's said. Yeah. And we'd definitely be happy to talk about that more later. I don't know why I say happy to, like as if everybody's begging us to talk about it. But I mean, we probably will go through some of that at later times because we've done some creative finance type deals. We've done some tax deferment strategies, and we've done a little bit of everything. I think there's definitely a reason to focus on one thing, and we would probably be a lot farther along had we focused on one thing. But we're very much like, I feel like we're buffet type people. Like we just want to try a little bit of everything. And
we almost bought a grocery store.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
What did we almost bought a couple things, and good thing we didn't. They were mistakes.
And one thing I will say on the grocery store topic is like the bank is not always your enemy, because it was actually the bank basically telling us no, they wouldn't finance that deal.
They're like, who do you think you guys are?
Because we're not just talking about buying the building. Originally, that's what it was. But at some point, we were just like, part of the deal was like, hey, you need to own and manage the grocery store. And we're like, yeah, we got this.
That sounds so easy.
Yeah. Groceries, I can sell that. So.
And then I don't know if this crossed your mind. In my mind, I was like, oh, discounted groceries. Groceries are so expensive now.
That definitely crossed my mind, because the grocery store is in Wisconsin and I live in Los Angeles. So I was just like, I'll get the groceries at a discount and then I'll just ship them. No, that never crossed my mind.
So we talked about what our goals were. Let's talk about what our goals are now. Like, what do you guys see from the business? 12 months, 36 months. More months than that.
You go ahead.
Have we talked about this? I don't know that we've actually talked about
Talk about it now.
As a team. I mean, now that Josh is kind of heading our marketing podcast department, Colin is going through deal flow. I actually don't know what the exact goals are for the next year.
Well, what are your goals?
Oh, my goals are just to make sure that we keep moving forward and we have everything documented and we know on a monthly basis exactly what we're doing, because as I have stepped in, questions were asked that were a little bit horrifying about what are we doing and what kind of money is going in and out, and nobody knew. So that is my goal for the next year. I'm still in the middle of cleaning this all up, but I want everything super tidy and neat so that we can make really good financial decisions and buy properties that make sense, that are cash flowing more.
I like that.
Yeah.
I would say we'll get to you next, Colin. Looked like you're about to try to say something, so we're gonna put a stop to that. No, just kidding. So my goal, so as Jennifer mentioned, I'm kind of heading up marketing and the podcast and all that, and my goal is to reach as many nurses and really any entrepreneur at all. But we're speaking directly to nurses because we all come from a nursing background, and we realize that nurses need not that nurses need a lot of help, but that we just feel like we can bring value to nurses that we didn't get, that we wish we had in the past. And my goal is for as many people to hear this podcast as possible, and to eventually like set up a community to where we can all help each other. Now you may speak.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I started looking at, we were all heavily influenced by Vivid Vision, which is a great book and everything. And it talks about setting your 3-year vision and then reverse engineering that. But it was kind of hard for me to focus on like what I was actually pursuing in life, just looking 3 years down the road, because currently we live in an apartment and we have a 2-year-old. And so like in 3 years, one of my biggest goals is to just have a house and not,
Amen.
yeah. And so just to have a house. But it's like, in terms of what I actually want my legacy to be, like if I buy a house in the next 3 years, that's going to be extremely irrelevant at the end of my life. So I think I've been thinking a lot more about, my legacy, and maybe that's too far out to be looking, but it's easier for me to like kind of step it back to like my day to day, because it's like, then I have a better idea of how to shape my day to day life, I guess, just based more on what I want my legacy to be. And I think more and more of my legacy, I just want it to be like about, people and serving people and growing a community. And I think just the idea that if something like one episode reaches one person and changes one person's life, who can change one person's life, and that can kind of just keep going, I think that's a powerful thing. And it's like, in the long run, a lot more important than, houses and vacations and cars and that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously, like, would I like to have a house? Absolutely. Would I like to not have my gym in our dining room? Like 100%. But
That'd be really nice.
But yeah, I mean, that's that. So I think that's what I've been like focusing on more lately, is more than like a number, like a 500, like, I mean, $500,000 per month. Like, I mean, would it change my life? Like, maybe, I don't know.
I mean, would that be enough though? Like, I feel like we need to have big goals.
Yeah, I feel like that's just like,
I know. I would prefer to add another zero to that, to be honest.
yeah, like if you're making 500,000 a month, it's like, like, are you even happy at that point? Like, because you're not making $1 million, so can you even really ball out? Like, I don't know. I just no, but I think yeah. Oh, that was loud. Sorry, but I think just kind of focus more on what I want my impact to be, and how I and we can serve the nursing community and just other people at large.
That was really good. I felt like my goal was really bad now.
Why? But here's the thing, like, my goal probably doesn't happen without her, and vice versa. Like, I think like all our goals are kind of like tied in. So it's like we all think different ways. And again, this is why like there's like the strength in a team. It's like me being a visionary, it's like I could be like, I want to change 1 million people's lives, and it would just be like I would just keep saying that every day until I die with zero action, and I'd impact maybe like 10 people's lives. But like with somebody like Jenn on the team, who can like implement the strategy of how we're going to impact this many people's lives, it's a lot more likely to happen. And with somebody like Josh on the team, who's going to go out there and like actually broadcast what we're doing and actually bring more people in. Like it only happens because we're all working together, because I don't individually possess what it takes to go out there and make a difference in the world, maybe.
And me broadcasting it, like that was something, I don't even know if I've thought about this completely to myself, but I realized like you can influence a really small circle of people if you just live your life, and like leading by example that's been a quote that I've liked my entire life. But the amount of people that you can reach if you're active on social media and active in media in general, just the amount of people that you can influence and change lives, I guess, is so much exponentially larger than if you just live your life in your little cocoon, like I have been doing. So that was something that my mind changed at one of the conferences that we went to.
That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, I think it is funny too, because now it's kind of shifted. Like I feel like I am open to like just sharing stuff because it's like zero work for me to share a reel. So it's like, okay, I'm getting credit for this thing and like growing. But it's like, yeah, I remember I was at the conference and I remember just like, yeah, hearing that, like, you never know like what you're posting, like how it's going to impact somebody, and that could be positive or negative. So like all the more reason to be aware of what you're putting out there. But yeah, so it's just like, I still hesitate to do it just because I think I get caught up in like the day-to-day life and the busyness of it. But yeah, I mean, if I could post something every day and I knew it
Time's
was
up. Lights off. Lights off, time's up.
I guess that's our
For
cue.
those of you not watching, their fancy face light just turned off, so it's really dark now.
Grab that one. We're going to do a quick swap.
Yeah, I forgot. Sundown's like at 4:30 over here now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shoot.
So
All right.
let's just clean
We'll
it up.
say this real quick. Let's end with the story about how we named our company. Josh, go.
So we like to have a good time, and we like to watch like to watch TV shows, and we were heavily influenced by the show New Girl because it was such a good show. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and don't start it because you won't be able to stop. But we really liked the vibe that Schmidt and what's the other guy's name?
Nick
in the show, the vibe that they gave. And we like comedy. We like to laugh. We like to have a really good time. And we couldn't decide on a name for our business. So we decided to go with the company name of All Day because that was a pivotal moment in the show, is when Schmidt became more comfortable with doing things he was typically uncomfortable with. And the start of our business was it brought us out of our comfort level a lot, like this much. And then we got to investing. I'm just kidding.
So I'm going to can I tell my version of it? Because that is not what I remember.
All right. I allow.
So I remember we were getting our business started, and I think we were in Wisconsin at your parents' house, and we were all sitting around and we were trying to figure out what we were going to name the company. And we had probably just been watching New Girl, and we were like throwing out all these names, like, I don't know, whatever, just all these different names that just none of them were sticking. It was all like, cliche, stupid stuff. And then Josh and I, because of New Girl, used to always tell each other, all day, like Schmidt. And then I think we were saying it one time and we just kind of both looked at each other like, All Day Investments. And that was how I remember the name coming to be. I didn't remember it being any like deeper than that.
That's what I remember. Did my story is that not what you got from my story?
That's not what I got. Did you get that, Jen?
Kind of, but it was a little deep.
So definitely your story is how we came up with a name. And then afterwards is how it, like my story is how I felt like it solidified our company.
And this kind of goes back to what I was saying about communication.
Yeah, the same thing.
We don't even know why we named our company what we named.
That's what it is.
Anything. We've been very good at doing things before we were ready. And we took that name because we were just like, we can invest all day. Like we can do this all day.
That's more like it. Yeah, that I remember. Yeah. Well, you got if you were listening the whole time, you already know our Instagrams, our personal ones, but you can follow us at investingrn.co on Instagram, like and subscribe, and check us out every week.
On on YouTube. We're investingrn.co on all socials and investingrn on YouTube. Go follow us, like, subscribe, listen. And we request that you tell 2 people about our show because we'd like to help as many people as we can.
Amen, brother.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Investing RN.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast and leave a review if you enjoyed today's episode.
Be sure to share this episode with one other person and follow us on Instagram at investingrn.co if you have any other questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Your input is super valuable and we love hearing from our listeners.
Until next time, remember, your financial well-being is a journey and we're here to guide you every step of the way. Keep investing in yourself and your future.